I want to talk about some cool stuff that my friends have got coming, have released and have got coming out. So I want to, since we're a comic book show mostly in pop culture, I want to talk about one friend first, who I've actually interviewed here on our gosh, on Plungecast, right? And grab this. It's Justin Young. Whoa, what a business cousin. So we actually right, there's Justin there. Right, you can follow him on jyoung_artist on Instagram. Or Facebook Freak, the graphic novel, and of course you can email him afterdarkcomics@gmail. Right, so we're supposed to do in September 16th a convention, because I actually run direct manager convention here in New Zealand, up in the North Island in the northern area, called Plunge Convention, pop culture convention. So we're supposed to do one, and so part of that was that I asked Justin to send us a whole bunch of his work so we could sell on behalf. So this is Freak Part 1. It's a graphic novel, and it's really heavy, right? It's good paper. This is like good paper, right? Quality gloss, semi-gloss paper. And this is his book Freak. You can learn you can learn more about it on the podcast we did. Excuse me. And the interview I did with him, we had a really good chat with him. I actually was joined by my co-host and good friend, one of my best friends, Shane Evans, who's an artist as well. And it was good to have an artist join us. And you can find out more about Shane on Art of Evans on Instagram and on Facebook. So you can add him there. And this is his this awesome art style. We're both 2080 fans. We grew up on this. I think we were both 50 years old. I can't remember if we are or not. But yeah, I just turned 50, and I think about 3 weeks later or something, it was his birthday, so I forgot if he was 50 or not. I have terrible memory because I've had about 6 or 7 head injuries, maybe 8. I don't, like I said, don't remember exact numbers, but if I sit down and counted, I'd be able to know, right? So let me know in chat if you guys can hear me. Sometimes, I'm babbling and I don't realize if people can hear me or not because I'm busy just teching by myself, right? So that's Freak, right? So you can grab Freak Part 1 from you can through him via his email, which is afterdarkcomics. So let me just put that in there. So in the chat, afterdarkcomics@gmail.com. Make sure there's a right one before I put it out there. Come here. So, yep, afterdarkcomics@gmail.com, and that's Justin Young. So, if you guys want to, support Justin, his artwork. I mean, like, this is self-published, by the way, guys. So it's not like some publisher getting behind him and publishing these books. I don't even know if he took it to Kickstarter or anything, but this is him working and going to shows and stuff, collecting money, and like the other day he said he went to a market, like a community market, and he was doing like little selling artwork, like pop culture artwork, like Venom and stuff, Spider-Man kids, because when kids come to shows like that, just the public, they want Batman, they want Spider-Man, they want things they've seen, things they don't know of. So, but the parents, the parents can go, oh, okay, let's check out your, let's check out your comic book, your horror comic book, So this is kind of like, if I remember right, this is like a sci-fi, sci-fi kind of a horror book, and it's all, right, it's all traditional. I think maybe coloring a bit digital, maybe, but yeah, it's pretty cool. So there's that one, and then you can also get Hell Trip, which is Homerville Hell Trip. This is his other book. It's and these are kind of like magazine size. They're not your regular comic book size, so they're like your coffee table size. And like I mentioned, these are really quality stuff. This is card, right? So it's not like cheap paper type thing. This is really So he's really gone out of the way to put his work on quality paper. And that's something I noticed that in today's, mainstream, they don't really think about the paper and stuff. They just put on anything they can because they're trying to save as much money as possible. So you end up paying maybe like $7 or $5 on a US, which becomes like 15 or, 15 or 20 or $30 for New Zealand, depending on what it is. But the interior paper is really crap sometimes. And, you can leave a thumbprint on there just by touching the ink or just by touching the paper, right? So it gets things. So there's another Homerville series. There's this one here, Gnome Falls. And of course, this is Freak Part 2 as well. So Freak Part 2 actually has, a bit of blurb on the back, which I think Freak Part 1 was missing. So on the graphic novel side, so which is really cool. So please check it out. So this is Freak the graphic novel. That's the name of it, and you can check it out on after you can get in touch with them on After Dark Comics, and as well as Instagram, right? So Freak the comic on Freak the graphic novel on Facebook, and J Young _ artist on Instagram. Let's put that in there as well. So J Young _ artist, right? So that's Instagram. I talk to a lot of the ratio between international and American artists in New Zealand is very high. So although whichever way you look, there's a lot of New Zealand artists and comic creators, but but compared to everybody else, any other country, we're not that high. And the sad thing is just recently it was announced this past week that Armageddon, which is our biggest, internationally renowned and biggest convention, pop culture convention, or expo as they call it, right, hasn't invited any comic book creators for the first time. So you got your anime voice actors, right, your VAs. You got your TV and movie stars, yet nothing to do with comics. Yet, as my friend mentioned, right, most of the shows out there that these people are on are from manga and comic books. So how can you not invite the creatives who actually freaking create that stuff? And so it's rightfully right. It's rightfully for the artist to call out this sort of hypocrisy, right? If you can have actors, right, who are on strike right now, by the way, right, and against their thing, right, who work on product created by comic book artists and writers, and so you get those actors over, right, who are whinging and moaning and whining for their $9,000 a week job, right? That now that they want 14,000 because they're not happy with $9,000 a week, right? But you're not going to invite any comic book artists or writers, which has always done. So this here is actually signature by Peter David, who came in 2007, same year I had my car accident, right? So a couple of months earlier. So this is when Star Trek the movie came out, and so he was on the Gotham Comics stand or store, whatever you want to call it, with alongside let me see, she's the one who did Whiteout. I've forgotten. Sorry, guys. He also did Quentin Country. So both those guys were there, right next to me on the stand, because we were actually, there on behalf of Gotham Comics and volunteering, for 2 days just to, and yeah, actually, I did have my accident. I was walking around. It might have been 2008 or 2009, I think. I was walking around with my cane at the time. I remember that much. It's a bit of pain, but not unlike today, right? With my back. So, Peter David was there, and I said, "Hey, Peter, I just got this. This guy we're walking around promoting Star Trek the movie, right?" And I said, "Hey, Peter, can you please sign this? Because I read it. Of course, at that time, he had also just done. Gosh, was it The Stand? No, it was Dark Towers, right? The first series of Dark Towers, with I think it was Jay Lee who did the artwork on that, and I had that signed, but well, he's there. So and he's looked at me and went, "You know, you're not going to wear that, right? Not going to be able to wear that." I said, "That's okay, mate. I just want your signature, right? It'll be in my, it'll be, it'll be in my, display." And so I don't wear it often, but I do every now and then. And so the cool thing about this, because it's a permanent marker, right? Because it's a permanent marker, it hasn't gone away. So think about that. It's about 12 years, right? And like I said, I haven't worn it that often, so I actually wear it every now and then when I feel like, being a Trekkie, right? And because I collect hats, so I've got like about 50 or 40 different hats, right? I actually had a lynx hat or something. Yeah, it's over there, with the eyeballs or the glasses, the green one with the big, huge, like wizard kind of hat with the. I'll grab it later. And then I've got the Batman, Star Wars, Star Trek, with this one, but like just everything. Just as much as I collect toys, I collect and comic books and books and DVDs. I collect hats. It's just I just go out, I see something I like, and I grab it because this is my jam. Like people say, oh, this is what I'm about. This is what I'm about, right? I'm about pop culture. It's very dear to me. It's something that's very important to me, and so I I would defend it, right? And I'll defend other people's right to say what they believe, right? And even if I disagree, I'll still let them say it. And I think it's the cool thing about this is that pop culture, we've always had disagreements, right? Especially in comic books. You go to a comic book store in the old days, right? Not so much now because I'm so far away from comic books that I haven't been in a comic book store for probably a couple of years now. Could have been longer than that. So I remember one time I just got into comics again. This is 2004, no, 2003. About 4 or 5 years earlier, I basically had thrown all my comics out. Like I've been going through this thing and just had a clean out, and like thousand, like maybe about $10,000 worth of comics all went in a fire, right? And I've kicked myself ever since. But at the time I was fine, and I've gotten over it. So I moved down to the South Island. So we're in Northland, right? So I moved to Southland, which is the bottom of New Zealand, apart from Stewart Island, of course. So bottom of New Zealand, place called Invercargill to do my filmmaking course, right? So I'd gotten down there in 2003, and I'd gotten down there 6 months earlier to set myself up, look for work, meet the people, get used to the place, figure out where, how to get around, and really settle down. It cost us about $1,000 just to take our stuff down, or maybe it might have been more in a container. So we sold up what we didn't have. I mean, what we didn't need, right? Sofas and bed stuff. I think we took a bed. Yeah, I think we took our bed down, but we sold us side cabinets, just everything that we could, didn't think we'd need, and put in what we had in a 10-footer container, right? So they basically shipped the container down to Southland, right? And found a place, and stayed in motels for a couple of nights. And while we were waiting to organize the right place, so we looked around for a real estate place, found a place, stayed there for duration of 3 years, 3.5 years after we, during the course. So I walked into this comic store they had there, right? And locally, where in Whangarei, there wasn't one until like a couple of years ago when I, had one in 2014, 2015 of my own comic store called Comic Trade, right? And so I walked in and I said, "Oh, comics, yay! I can get back into it." So I was looking, and I think just prior to that, I started buying up toys and stuff and getting into it because but Trade Me had come around, which is our version of eBay, right? And so Trade Me was around, so I could see all the things that were really cool, and like Star Trek toys. I could, every now and then buy something. So I got down there, and it was quite a large place because they were not only just a comic shop, they're also like a curio shop, but new stuff, not old stuff, but new stuff, right? Like smoke, like bongs and all that stuff. So it was like comic shop as well as that, and game shop. So because it was like really big, you know. So I walked in and I was talking to these guys and goes, oh, I got challenged. It's like, oh, so what sort of comics do you like? I'm like, oh, I like this, you know, I like this. They're like, oh, I used to be into this. And they were like, oh, what do you play? I was like, oh, I play, you know, what games do you play? So I play Risk, right? And and so I'm just going to check something. And so like as they were, you know, as and that's a normal part of being, you know, of being a fan, right? People want to test your metal, right? METTL. They want to say, like, you know, if you're part of this culture, if you're part of this subculture, like comic books and stuff, or if you're into gaming and stuff, people want to know, like, okay, who's this dude? What's it about? And I find that nowadays, when you do that, people think that they get offended. It's like, oh, how dare you, you know, ask me what my fandom is, or what I think about, you know, Captain Kirk compared to, you know, Captain Pike and so on, or Janeway and stuff. That's been a natural part of pop culture for decades, right? Since ever pop culture became a thing, right? Since the like Doctor Who, right? When that started, like when people started getting into fandom, right? You're looking at about 61 or 63. With I think it's Doctor Who 63. Was it 61? And then you, of course, you had Star Trek, and you know that just blew up. And it was the fans, right, writing letters to the studio saying, "Put my show back on! How dare you take it off?" You know, and that's the same thing that happened with Serenity, right? They wouldn't have a movie, right? Joshua Whedon's Serenity is Josh Whedon, isn't it? If you know, if they didn't have if people didn't write in and say, "Hey, listen, we love this show. Give us something." You know, you closed Dollhouse after one season, or was it two? And then you know you want to close this one, and I can't even remember Firefly. It's almost forgot. You know, and so you know you got all these shows out there that are really great. Farscape. If you have not seen Farscape, right? Sorry, I forgot to take Jay Young's artist Instagram page off there, right? So do check him out, add him on. And also, while you're doing that, check out our Patreon. So let me just put that up there as well, because we really need your help, guys. We, you know, this is about supporting my artists, and you know, because if you, you know, if you're able to, you know, please, you know, it's only $3 a month. It's I've done it myself for other people, right? I bought, you know, support other people and on their Patreon, because I believe in supporting artists, because I don't like the whole poor artist thing. I think that's a disgusting to take thing motto to take on, or what is it, like a trope to have, because no artist should be starving,